Hey everybody, it's Bust with Battles with Bust number 121, and today we're going to be doing battle with Bard Vi. But before we get into talking about the decks and the battles themselves, we are in spoiler season, and so we got to talk about the new cards as they come out. Today we're going to be talking about the Hallowed keyword along with Gwen, and then first and foremost the keyword itself. And so it says, after I die, that means a unit. The units have the Hallowed keyword. So after the unit dies, for the rest of the game, when you commit to an attack, you hallow your first attacker. That gives it +1 attack. And then this hallowed effect stacks for however many hallowed units have died this game. And so if you've had 3 hallowed units die, then your leftmost attacker is going to be getting +3 attack on that round. And so the first and foremost thing I think is kind of interesting and important with this is the effect is persistent, right? We play a hallowed unit. The quick and easy one to think about is going to be this boisterous host, a 2-cost or a 1-cost 2/1 that has hallowed. So this unit dies, we get this effect for the rest of the game. And so if we have some kind of sequence as to where we play the boisterous host on turn 1, our opponent attacks into it, we block, lose the host. Then for the remainder of the game, starting on turn 2, all of our units are going to be getting that +1 attack bonus. We don't have to spend any mana. We don't have to have units on board. We don't have to do anything. We're just getting this persistent effect across the rest of the game. And I think that's pretty interesting. You know, a lot of these effects and abilities require you to have stuff on board, require you to play more cards, but this one just sticks around for the remainder of the game. It's quite powerful. And so the next big thing that strikes me with Hallowed is whenever we're talking about attacking decks in the format, if you will, decks that like to attack with units and play the kind of fair game, if you will, we're always looking towards either overwhelm, rallies, or elusives. And this plays quite nicely into that as well, just getting these extra points of damage in with a overwhelm or elusive unit, or if we're playing with rallies, you get this effect twice. And so if you can either double up on your leftmost unit or attack, you lose your leftmost unit, you get to attack again, you get to give a new unit a bonus. Nice ways to really play into all of those strategies, right? The kind of classic example we always like to give is that you're playing an elites deck, you have 50 stats on the board, you're feeling really good. You attack and your opponent just blocks with the 1/1 and you don't deal any damage. And so we're always looking towards those 3 keywords as ways to punch in all of this extra damage. And so having a keyword that plays well with the other keywords seems really strong and powerful. And so the downside to all of that greatness there is Shadow Isles is pretty bad at getting those keywords. There's no elusives, there's no overwhelms, there's no rallies within Shadow Isles. So we're going to have to look towards other factions. And so Shadow Isles typically doesn't do well with those kind of aggro-y kind of things, but you know, the times change, we can figure out new ways to use it, or we can just go to our old tricks and use it with atrocity. But nonetheless, that is the hallowed keyword. I'm very interested in giving it a try. I like to play decks on the aggro end of the spectrum, and this is a very aggro-centric engine type card, and so you'll definitely see some decks coming out of the woodwork for us with this. Now, the next thing to talk about here is Gwen herself. Easy to see on the screen here. She has quick attack, hallowed, and then when she attacks, if another ally gains bonuses from hallowed, she gains it as well. And so in that kind of same example, our leftmost unit gets +3 attack. Gwen would also get that +3 attack. She also has this ability on here to where when she attacks, she gets to drain 2 from the opposing nexus. And so all in all, pretty reasonable set of abilities. She's a champion that comes down and does a lot of aggressive work, but she does need a bit of help to actually punch that damage through. She doesn't have Fearsome, Overwhelm, any of the elusive style stacks or abilities, and so she's going to need a bit of help in that sense. But I still think Gwen is going to be fairly strong. It's got to be however we can kind of pair this off with our other factions, or how we can be generating additional attacks. We'll just play this with lurkers, right? Play that stupid razorfish that makes the free attacks. You know, I'm not saying that's good, but you do have to kind of think out of the box a little bit in terms of how do we make these attack abilities work within a faction that doesn't really like to do a lot of attacking. And so Gwen, I think she'll be interesting. She feels like overcosted by 1 stat point, right? It's like the immediate comparison to me would be to Riven. And Riven does a whole lot at 3 mana, and I'm curious if Gwen does enough with the +1 stat or the +1 cost to make up for all the stuff that say a card like Riven doesn't do. But I mean, she does have this big, massive pile of stats that come in quite strongly, and then she also has a pretty decent flip ability. If we pull that up as well, I guess we can see it easily here in Thread the Needle. That's to where it's a very Shadow Islesy style card, and that you kill an ally, deal its power to something else. And so that's what kind of like brings me to the next topic that all these cards have me thinking about is when I look at an ability like Hallowed, that's something that points off to being like this aggressive style thing, and you can't do a lot of aggressive things with Shadow Isles if you want to look towards, say, something like Thresh Nasus. But they historically are more kind of like mid-rangey and control-y kind of things. And so I'm curious how, if you take what looks to be an aggressively styled ability and then have to jam it into these mid-rangey style decks, whether or not that's, say, looking towards like Kindred. Kindred doesn't do a whole lot of damage dealing. She's just very good at coming out and controlling the board. And so do these kind of like mid-rangey board control aspects pair into Hallowed, or do we try to like reinvent new strategies with Shadow Isles to take advantage of this kind of thing? I don't have the answer there. I think that'll be a kind of interesting thing to see how it pans out. And that does kind of bring me to the idea of some of these cards as to where I think Alawi is a pretty good example of what we just saw, where a new ability comes out in Spawn. It's the first time it's here. How do we rate these cards in this new ability? And we just did a poor job of that with Spawn, at least on our end. You could see a card like Tentacle Smash as being pretty strong. I didn't think the card draw card was that great. The 1-drops didn't seem that good. And then the cards like the Sea's Voice were the only kind of like obvious ones between like the Sea's Voice and the Tentacle Slam as being good. And so I'm curious because at the end of the day, when it came to Alawi decks, we just played all the cards, right? Basically, every Alawi deck plays every Spawn card, with the exception of Nagakaboros. And so I'm curious if we now look towards Gwen, if that's something that we'll see. Because as I look at these cards with Gwen, if we take a peek at, say, Boisterous Host here in the very middle of your screen, and then things like Phantom Butler on the bottom left, both of these cards look to be very aggressively centered, right? A 3-attack fearsome unit is much more on the aggro side of things, to where if we look at some of these other cards like Ghostly Paramour, this is leaning more towards like the mid-rangey style strategies, right? A 3/3 lifesteal unit doesn't do something that you're wanting to pair into aggressive cards. And so I'm kind of curious from the angles of either are playing cards like Phantom Butler and playing cards like Boisterous Host, just playing a very small Hallowed package. Is that going to be enough, or are all of these going to kind of devolve into kind of like mid-rangey style decks to where we can play, say, like Thresh and have Thresh get a Hallowed bonus to have him level up, or we can look towards like Viego and his grow and self-sacrifice kind of effects as a way to take advantage of these. So you get to, say, make an attack with a Viego Ephemeral, give it +3 attack or something, and then you're having a really strong attacker with very minimal investment. And so I always just, go straight to the lands of aggro, but I do think that there's a lot of kind of interesting mid-rangey style plays coming out of these things. It'll be very curious to see. She strikes me as kind of like Annie, as to where Annie was like, oh yeah, this is an aggro card. And then as time moved on, people figured out that she's more of a, she can play well in an aggro deck, but her home tends to be in these kind of more mid-rangey style burn to control style decks. And so I'm interested. I have some thoughts. I want to try and get the aggro things going because that's just what we do. But I'm real interested to see in how Gwen pans out. And so, with the preview out of the way, we can swing our way back to Bard Vi. And this is like quite interesting to me. The first deck I put together with the release of the Worldwalker was a Bard Vi deck. The kind of idea that I had and the way that I thought things were going to happen is Bard wants to see all of your units gain the stats. That's how he levels up. And then Vi, just hanging out in your hand, gains these stats. So you play a card, Vi gets the stats, and then Bard would get the bonus through the Vi that's already in your hand. And so I put the deck together, I got to playing with it, I was doing some stuff, and I was like, man, the fuck does my Bard never level up for? This like ability just doesn't work. And that's just the way it happened. That's just not the way the game worked at the time. But I was like very interested in these kind of ideas as to where if you say, okay, how do I best take advantage of Bard? I want to draw a whole bunch of cards. And then how do I draw a whole bunch of cards? Well, we have all of this cycle within P and Z. You can use the Zonite Urchins. You can use the Sump Dredgers to cycle. And then there's a handful of card draw cards throughout the way. And so we, kind of pursued this with Victor. And then we called it a day and left it behind. Then when the 310 patch came out, they changed the way that Bard worked to where all of these stat boosting cards like Vi would now work. And so we didn't really circle back to this. We kind of just looked to other Bard based things. But, there's one of those things that kind of like keep in the back of our mind actually worked. And then we never circled back to it. And so, very interestingly, here with the seasonals, one of the people that performed very well in the North American seasonals was playing Bard Vi. Like, very interestingly, most of the people's strategy against Bard Vi was just to ban it, right? They hadn't played against it too much on the ladder, if at all. And so, instead of risking playing against a deck they had no familiarity with, they just came out and banned Bard Vi. Very common strategy. And so, I thought it was interesting to see this deck resurface as something that we had dismissed fairly early on. And so I think that's, a very interesting strategy in the Bard Vi. This is also another deck taking advantage of the Boom Baboon Flame Chompers package, another thing that we see to be incredibly, incredibly powerful. One of the bonuses now with the Flame Chompers is that if you're not playing Noxus or if you're not playing the Winding Light, it's very challenging for the Flame Chompers to actually deal combat damage. But here, with all of the chimes, we can boost our Flame Chompers to have some bonus attacks so that they're able to actually make relevant challenges. And so, this is the deck we'll be doing battle with. Keep in mind, it is a Bard-based Boom Baboon style deck. You can use Vi to help level up your Bard. And then we are trying to use all of these card draw kind of aspects to power through our deck a little bit faster, hit as many chimes as we can, and really strengthen up our units and hopefully get the game closed out with a big mountain of Bard stats or just with a handful of Poros. Always a very nice way to go about it. Okay, well, you all know what we have to do before the games start. We do have to go and pay the pay-to-win price, and we do have a new one out here. I thought this may be one of these decks as we're here towards the end of the World Walker expansion as to where we've just had everything all premium. Not the case here today. The Piltover Tellstone's ready to get that premium treatment, ready to load us up with some progress days and drop off like 8 chimes in a single turn. It's gonna be pretty sweet. And so, with all of that being that, let's get ourselves right out here into battle. Get the record up on the screen as that loads up. Looking pretty good. And so, yeah, Seasonals was good and interesting. We were not super successful. I ended up going 3-2 before we dropped. I feel like I need to be within like the top 100 in the ladder before I try to even bother with going X and 2. And I think we were around like 150 or so at the time of the cutoff. And so as soon as we hit that second loss, I just went and dropped out. If you're interested in the stats part of Seasonals, Legna's kind of meta review is out there. I was quite interested in the meta review to see if things like shaped up how I expected them to. It was kind of interesting to me in terms of two things, right? Number one was like the morning of and the day before, I was just playing like an absolute shitload of Talia Lysandra, not with it, against it. And so I kind of like had this lingering feeling that the deck was really going to like pop off and come back up to the forefront. And it did. We certainly played against it a ton. I think we played against it in like 4 of our 5 matches. And it was the most common deck in the format, showing up in around a third of the lineups. But the thing that we were really looking to try and come in and take advantage of was not seeing Talia Lysandra and the Winding Light Aphelios deck in the same matchups, right? That was kind of one of the weaknesses that we knew we had in our lineup. If those two decks showed up together, we couldn't ban them both. I didn't expect to see it too much, and it looked like that happened around like 4 or 5% of the lineups, and that's what we lost to with both of our losses. And so I was curious how big that number was going to be in terms of how frequently the deck showed up. And that's pretty reasonable, you know. I think we low rolled there a little bit in terms of the matchups, but it did get me thinking a lot more about the kind of general best of three strategy and just kind of, you know, really bringing good decks. And I think we did that to a degree, but we probably could have brought just stronger decks across the board. And so interesting stuff to think of for the next time. I'm definitely still getting kind of my my feet wet with the competitive scene. You know, we really grew our channel in the lands of playing Expedition, and then so we spent our, you know, first year and a half, 2 years of Runeterra being expeditioners, and then with that being not constructed, it's taking me a bit of time to get really acclimated to the formats. Interesting. Here, we should just be like slamming in this damage now, right? He's playing some kind of Bard, Garen, Elite style deck. He hasn't put any units on the board. Like, I'm not sure exactly what he's waiting on here, but I think if we come out and then just end up like losing another unit to this board, like if he plays a unit now and just blocks, gets the Flame Chomper's hook, I think that's fine. Let's get this extra 2 damage in this turn now, though, because like this guy's deck is definitely going to play better in the late game than ours, with his things like double birds and swiftwing flights and elites and whatever he's doing. His units are going to be bigger than our units, so we need to do the damage while we can. Okay. It's like Garen comes down. Could not possibly care less. Now, the thing that we do surprisingly have to be careful of here and be a little bit mindful of is going to be him dropping a judgment. And the thing that we're going to need to kind of watch ourselves with is making sure that we can get excited whenever he blocks with Garen. So if he does try to judgment us next turn, we can stop that combat. I'm pretty sure that's how it works. I'm not 100% certain that's the way that this is going to pan out, but I think the game works this way. So let's cross those fingers, squeeze them butt cheeks, see if we can't survive it all. Okay. So that Garen's gonna flip. Assuming he doesn't have anything weird, we'll be punching in for 9 damage. Like, we're gonna attack, he'll block Reggie, we'll punch in for 9 and then have Get Excited. But we don't have to worry about the judgment anymore. He's spent down too far in his mana. He blocks old Reggie, looking to take 9, and we'll come in with the Get Excited. Ideally. Seems like he might have a concerted strike or something here, but it's not the end of the world if they do. We got loads of burn in this piece. You're really going for a detain? I guess if that's all you have, that's what you have to do, but doesn't seem spectacular. I'm just going to go ahead and play the Baboon as well. Just get all these stats on board. Be ready for an open attack on our following turn. And this should allow us to do stuff like play the 7 mana thing on his turn if we want. Just to spend out as much mana as we can. Alright, give us some good spells. Not quite what we're looking for here. We'll take the scout unit. Get him with the monkey business. I don't think we'll deal any damage this turn. Let's pick up the lucky find. And then what is this? Give an enemy -4 attack this round if you have fewer mana gems. Not quite a thing these days. Let's pick up the Quicken. Just buff one of these little guys. I don't think we're going to get too much out of this one. The +2 attack is perfect, though.
Raise the banner, lift our spirits. We stand strong.
Send that Bannerman right back to hand. Not expecting him to be able to replay it this game. We'll win the game on our next turn, so shouldn't be too big of a deal. Single combat. Okay. Give me that free bird. Get your Leonard Skinnerd out here, am I right? Okay. All right, I think we're looking pretty good. Another real strong open attack coming out here. Hopefully he's not bringing any judgments on us. Is that one of those sweet lethals everyone enjoys so much? Looks like it. Okay, GG. Whew. Victory. Got him real good. This is what we're going to be doing. We're just going to play Bard and all of the new champions. The first video we make will just be Bard and Kaisa, and then the next video we'll make will be Bard and Quinn. And then they say the next champion's coming out is Evelyn, and so I'm sure we'll just make Bard Evelyn as well, right? I used to play when I used to actually play League. I used to play a bunch of Evelyn, and so I'm kind of excited to see that champion come back. She's a little like on the scary end of the spectrum. I'm not exactly sure what Evelyn's deal is. She's some kind of demon thing, but you know, memories and stuff. I can't remember exactly when, but I used to play a bunch of Evelyn and a bunch of Zac, and then one other one. Played a bunch of jungle poorly. Played a bunch of jungle poorly. I should complete that sentence, I think. But here you get to see it, right? We've got the Vi. We played a card. Vi gets a point bonus, and that now puts the 1 point up on Bard. That was what we were hoping to do with this deck initially. Back at the release of the World Walker. Took me a while to figure out it just didn't work. And then we never circled back to this, and so kind of interesting. All right, well, let's punch in this damage here real quick while we can. I would assume opponents about to be coming at us with a Blighted Ravine, but we're kind of like out of stuff to do. I want to just like punch in this damage real quick while we can, and then we're going to have to switch to a Vi plan. So let's just go ahead and attack. I don't want to risk getting avalanched here, and then I would expect a Blighted Ravine to come down. Do we ever want to just play Bird because we know it's going to level up Vi? That's kind of tempting. This is like, next turn we're just going to play Vi, and then just open attack. Yeah, that's how you get an easy 10. Fucking lame, dude. You knew what was gonna happen as soon as you saw the guy playing the Anivia deck. You said this guy plays chess by himself on the weekends. You just knew it. You just knew it. All right, what up, Reggie? What up, Vi number 2? What up, Reggie number 2? Pass. Sure. Alright, squad, we're ready for battles now.
How about another round?
Where you at, Reg? What do we got? Do we want any of these? Give it all's kind of interesting. I don't think we would want it like this turn, but it does build into turns to where we could make like big attacks with the like elusive Poros. I don't think we ever want True Shot Barrage. Assembly Line is a nice value piece, but I think we'd prefer to just be making like a big all-in play. Like I'm kind of envisioning, like we can do this. We can drop Esmuth. Esmuth has elusive. That's another way to think about it. Then we can drop Vi. Vi's a little small though. How much can we do if we want to do this next turn? Or maybe we like just wait 2 turns from now. But like once we lose our Esmuth, our ability to give it all just goes away. But it doesn't seem big enough on just 2 units, right? We'll have to think about that like a turn from now. Oh, the burn, though. Oof. Alright, Bard, let's fuck him up. What do we got? Not super interested in any of these. You can't Hextech Transmogulate your opponent's Anivia Egg or anything, and so let's just go with the Hextech Anomaly. Maybe we'll hit a big tilter with this thing. Nothing better than just bringing the big tilt blast. Oh, interesting with the Unyielding Spirit. Okay. Okay.
I'm doing this my way.
Now he's gonna play the Ruination, and then we're gonna drop the Unyielding Spirit. Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay. I don't think Unyielding Spirit works with Give It All. It's not a keyword, but let's see. We're getting a lot of emotes. I'm not sure how opponent feels about this. It doesn't seem like they're currently in happy mode over the failure of the Ruination. All right, cool. All right, let's see how we could push this one forward. Unfortunately, Duder here can block our stuff. Not exactly cool. Don't think we're going to be able to punch in the Vi this turn, but we got to try. Is this kill an ally and summon a follower? Should we have just Mystic Shotted through that? Probably. Let's just accept that this turn is not going to be spectacular. Maybe we can just discard another Get Excited though now. Give the Vi the +1 attack, and then she can hook kill the archer at least. Like we're pretty far away from these Get Exciteds actually doing anything, right? Sure. All right, there we go. We're getting there. We're working our way through. Gotta find one of those little Poros now. Get our Give It All happening. There we go. There's the elusive. I'd prefer to see him spend some mana before we go for this. I don't... It's like I just don't feel great about going into the next turn. Like if we... Well... Yeah, if he drops like a Vengeance onto Esmith, it just doesn't feel very good. Is that a good place to stop? Like, I don't want to just get completely boomed by, like, the Ruination. How much are we at here? 7, 13, 14? If we have to hook the Tavern Keeper out of combat? $14, $15, $16? Okay. It's like, I still think we're pretty far away from winning. They play a bunch of dumb shit like Harsh Winds and Heal, and I don't want to just get, like, super involved here if we don't have to. Like, it just feels like as soon as we try and drop in the damage sources, he's just going to say, okay, and play play ways around it, the Harsh Winds or whatnot. V stands for violence, bro. So angry. Got him. That's one of the kind of like curiosities with the control decks these days is we're not putting in a lot of work with all these shitty units, but Bard just like levels everything up. And so as we were getting to the end game there, those all those units we're drawing, we had like +4/+4 and +5/+5. It's just like having these decks where you just trade Vengeance for stuff does not feel good. It has to be like you're playing Vengeance to kill your opponents like Papercraft, Dragon, Renekton. You aren't playing Vengeance just because you want to sit around and trade 1-for-1 with a kind of a classic control deck. The classic control decks are just garbage. But I know he was playing some kind of Anivia combo and didn't draw the Anivia or the combo pieces, but still kind of awkward for them. Still pretty sweet, though. I knew we were going to hit on that Hextech Anomaly, because that's just the way... I think we deserved it. I think we deserved it, so makes sense to me. So how are we doing this one? We don't have, like, great interactivity for the Renekton. So it's like, I think we need to just kind of come out as quick as we can. But Vi doesn't really play to that. But on the flip side, Vi is like the only good blocker we have. And it's not like she's a great blocker in the face of Renekton, but she can soak up 4 or 5 points of damage, just enough to get you stop you from getting OTK'd. But I think we probably just need to search for early plays. Action's not going to be happy about this 5 damage coming in. We just high rolled a Chime onto the Flame Chompers. If he plays something small, we would have the opportunity to try and boom. Okay. I think the 1 point of damage is less important than the ability to surprise hit with this. It's like we just hit the Flame Chompers again. It's like a lot of the value that you get out of I think actually I'm just going to play it now. It's like a lot of the value you would get out of, say, playing like suit ups in the Flame Chompers decks. You get this like surprise Flame Chompers with suit up, and you get these really strong combats out of nowhere. I think this is okay. We'd be trading a Sump Dredger for a Shapestone. His unit still dies with the Shapestone. Nope. Okay. Right. It's not a bad set. We got a Baboon, we got an Esmuth. We can bring out another Flame Chompers if we need to. The Esmuth can either give us the 3 attack with the Flame Chompers or boost our smaller unit. Like, all of this looks pretty fantastic. There's no reason to Flame Chomper here. Yeah, he just does not have the Shape Stone. We need another Give It All. That's the card we should be bringing to the party. It's another Give It All. Let's just pass. We have a bit of time here. He's going to hook our bird. I'm going to wait and see if we can drop a post-combat Get Excited, right? We don't want to get excited in the middle of combat on this Renekton. He's just going to play a combat trick and deal more damage. If we wait till after combat, then we can try and take the Renekton down. Then if he has an Absolver or something, it's just kind of a counter spell. Well, I guess we have to stop and ask ourselves, can we just lethal this next turn, right? We've got 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Let's just save the Get Excited for face. So we can, like, pokey stick out of a bit of this, but I think it probably safer just to go all in. He can also, like, Rite of Negation our Get Excited, but he needs to spend, like, a lot of mana to try and get out of this stuff. Go for it now. We still have the mana to try and time trick into another burn spell if we need to. Okay. There it is. Laser beam. GG, my dude. Victory for Bard. I'm curious what'll come up with the release of the new cards. It feels like with the release of Worldwalker, they also nerfed some stuff along the way or brought some changes. I feel like Ash got some changes and some other cards did. I'm curious if they do something to Thralls and if they do something to Bard as the new cards are released. It's kind of a 2-for-1 bonus for the release of new cards, in that you get to kind of like weaken some of the older stuff. And it gives the new stuff kind of a time to shine, right? As you add more and more cards to the game, it's much more challenging for a new card to be relevant. And so they all have to be kind of over-tuned a little bit. And tuning down some of the older stuff helps bring the new stuff to the forefront. All right, I'm not like entirely sure if we want to be hanging on to Reggie here. He just feels kind of like the safety valve in that we never want to be like passing on turn 2 without a play, but we would much rather our turn 2 play be an Esmith or be a Boom Baboon. And we did pick up the Esmith here, but it still feels like fairly safe to hang on to Reggie just in case, right? If this Esmith was like a Mystic shot, there's a very real chance that we wouldn't be getting it on the board.
It's an awesome day for progress.
Oh, oh man. Oh, I'm getting fucking old. I think a good portion of my crowd probably has to grunt when you sit down on the couch. It's just locked in now. Fucking old, my bones creak. My body makes weird noises when I sit down. It's tough. It's tough. The struggles I have to go through. Where'd those hit on? We hit 2 chimes. One on Esmith, one on Boom Baboon. This would be much more ideal if we had a Mystic shot. Like, I don't like banking up this mana just to play time tricks. So if we could say like Mystic Shot as Dancing Droplet, that would be great. Just doing nothing here is a little less than great. Drop the Baboon. It can maybe block something. A lot of this depends on where he puts his Young Witch boost. You don't usually see Young Witch and Ari Bard, I don't think. I haven't been a big Ari Bard supporter myself.
That's my resting face.
Green-Glade duo you definitely don't usually see. Interesting. I think we just have to take it. Like, we're not super close to getting lethaled, and we also have, like, elusives that can block his stuff. So, let's just give that a turn. Hoping we'd hit some more time tricks. I was hoping. Alright, there's a Mystic Shot. It's kind of awkward to just drop him right here. Given that he has a lot of recall kind of cards in his deck. But I think this will be okay. So now he doesn't have good blocks on our Esmuth. We can Mystic Shot whatever blocks our little Esmuth. And it looks like we're building up to be kind of nice now. Wouldn't be surprised if he just takes this. Well, I was gonna say it's probably gonna block the value block, but sure. Doesn't seem that bad now, right? We got a lot more cards than them. He hasn't drawn an Ari up to this point. He hasn't been recalling his Dancing Droplet. And that all seems decent. Do we really just start like time tricking though? I think I'm okay with the Boom Baboon. Like I want to have one blocker for Bird, and then we can look to like time trick in the middle of combat if that's what it comes down to. Just needed to do some not dying, right? We got all the value in the world. Okay, he's tapped out now as well, so we're pretty safe with this. Like, I would assume he's at least attacking with something. Like, I have to imagine that he wants to attack with, like, a Green-Glade duo here, but... Oh, man, I think we're about to just blow this up. This looks quite good. Get excited, discard the Chompers. We're only taking 1 point of damage. All of his units are gone except the Droplet. Like, this just has to be spectacular, right? And the Poro Cannon. Not exactly what we're looking for here, but... the elusives, I think, are too good to give up against Ari Bard, just to make sure we have cards to throw down. I think we can safely get rid of a Tellstones, right? We already have one Progress Day. We're not going to play 2 Progress Days this game. Let's get rid of the Tellstones. Alright, well, let's we'll just get our Tellstones right back, I guess. Probably like this, right? If he's going to play a recall to protect the Dancing Droplet, we want to protect our Flame Chompers that's at risk of dying. So, we'll put the Young Witch in front of the one that's guaranteed to survive. Oh, friend. That does not seem good for you.
Hey, Krabby.
That's my resting face.
I'm trying to think if we want to just like preload the board with a Poro, but I mean, I think I'm okay to block the Green Glade duo with Esmuth if we have to.
Vi stands for violence. They'll never see us coming.
Alright, seems fine. Can't twin disciplines out of this, and so at worst, his unit's just going to die. Beautiful, beautiful. GG, my dude.
And that's a knockout.
Give me all them LPs. Doesn't matter at this point. I don't think. I'm not entirely sure how the LPs matter at the end of the season, but I don't think it matters for us. So we'll get them all though. We gotta get that top rank. But here up against lurkers, we have to pick up our early game stuff to do. I'm okay with hanging on to Poro Cannon, since they do have some early game 1 health units that we'd like to come down and interact with. But otherwise, we got to just try and limit them. Can't be taking the big chunks of damage, just getting the trades where we can.
When we look ahead, we know how to prepare.
I'm blocking, bro.
It can be undone.
In here, oh, Rek'Sai on top. Okay. Still gonna take the extra point of damage for the kind of value play. We have a Mystic shot to potentially take down the Sharkling, and so you can find yourself in some like pretty decent spots if you're able to just completely remove off all their units off the board. I don't think we're going to be able to do it this game, but it's nice if you can pull it off. Alright, get in there, Reg. I think we got to take this Song Spinner here. Like, the cards aren't that great that comes out of it, but it's just like, I'm not going to play a 5/5 unit for 6 mana. We're never going to have the time to do that. All right. Here comes the turnaround, right? Things can only go up from here. So we're definitely going to be like playing Vi next turn. Do we want to try and level her up? Is a fair question. We can Poro Cannon into 2 Poros and then like throw away a Telstones. That sounds kind of shitty. So let's just go ahead and pass. Glad we passed. It's much better seeing the vulnerable come onto our chompers than onto our Vi.
Vi stands for violence.
She can level up now though, since she hit the chime perfectly.
Tell it to the fists.
Do we ever want to just like go for the level up here? We get. It's only when she's attacking though. No, I've struck for 10, so we can actually get a Vi flip here, but I don't think that's worth it.
Here's the fun part. Trouble
Oop.
coming at ya.
There we go. Sure. Right, we can technically take down Pike, but it's got to be at slow speed, right? You can generate aftershocks off of the Telstones. He's a fantastic target for it, but Eh. Okay. So we need him to not lurk this turn, right? If Rek'Sai attacks as a 9, we're okay. If he hits a lurk and she flips, then we're probably just done for. He hit. Okay. GG. Oh. Have you all seen the Ryan Reynolds movie, Free Guy? I saw it for the second time again last night. I'd already seen it, but the wife hadn't had the chance to see it. And I got to pick a movie last night, and so that was the one we watched. You know, Ryan Reynolds is in it. He's probably gonna take his shirt off. The ladies always enjoy that kind of thing, but it's like it gets to the point in the movie to where it's got like all of these random streamers in it. And it's like I don't recognize the majority of them. It's like I know who Ninja is, but everyone else after that, I was kind of like I don't know who these people are. But I was kind of upset that nobody ever asked me to do it. You know, why didn't someone ask old FTP Bus to be in the streamer section of the Free Guy movie? I thought that was kind of fucked up. And so it's not cool, man. It's not cool. Why would they do that? They got this beautiful face that they could be putting on there. No. They say, fuck you. Oh god, a Puffcat pup. Interesting, interesting. I was at least expecting a block from the Precious Pet onto our Boom Baboon. What are we getting into this game? So, I mean, what's this? He's playing Puffcat Pup. I don't, we can, like, kind of value block the pup with, like, we can shift our Esmuth block over in front of the pup, but it feels like there's going to be some kind of trick here. Yeah, that's fine. I couldn't believe it. They didn't ask me to be in the movie. They said, haven't you seen all of my expedition content viewed by thousands of people? They didn't want me. I didn't even get a message on Twitter or an email. Kind of fucked up. I loved it though with Ryan Reynolds' character when they bring in Guy 2.0, but they haven't managed to fill out all the voice lines yet. So he just says a bunch of random shit to where my favorite one was adjective. I can't remember what he actually said, but he finished a sentence with just the word adjective. I was like, oh, fucking A. Like, I can definitely see this. Like, there's so many aspects of that movie is working in the technology industry. It's just like, yep. I could definitely, I could definitely see how some of this stuff makes its way to the real world. All the Pokey Sticks. Was that the third one? Second one. Okay. Losing my focus talking about that Dreamboat Ryan Reynolds gets everybody's blood away from the brain down into the loins. What a treasure. All right, back to the action though. We're just getting blasted by the Puffcat pup. I guess we're okay with it. Annie Katarina. Still don't understand why this unit's here. What you got for us, Reg? Like, maybe the assembly line? I could see us playing it. Seems like the assembly line cards are just going to be bigger than all of his units. Obedient Drakehound. Okay. Oh, snap. At least he's out of mana at this point. Why did this get so much attack? Oh, because the purple berry shake didn't reset the attack. Okay, gotcha. We're at a pretty healthy life total, but like our flame chompers are already on the board. I don't think they're gonna be like getting any wins, and then maybe we could have shot for the lethal here, but that feels kind of risky. I think I'd rather just make him block instead of trying to like I just don't want it. Like, it feels like we're ahead, and I don't want to set up these boards to where we go for kind of like a really all-in-y style lethal, and then he's like, LOL, here's a burn spell to stay at 2, and then he's able to pull like a big advantage out of that. I think just like getting all of these units on the board, forcing him to trade away everything he has, is fairly strong, in that we still have like blockers for the next turn. So he has some way to stop what we are doing. Mm-hmm. But getting him down to 2 or whatever is pretty good. Got lots of burn options to try and just go ahead and end the game. He's going to need like a big Katarina sequence to try and take us down, and I think we're still just healthy enough to not worry about it. Rip him. Gonna go ahead and mark that a 5 and 1. Okay. GG. Not bad. Not bad. I forget who it was, like in the seasonals. There was someone that just brought the full Boom Baboon lineup, and I was like, that's what we should have done. I love this shit so much. Such a like not obviously strong card. So much value comes out of this thing. Oh, that reminds me. It's like you have to have like someone to cheer for the seasonals, right? I'm sure everyone was cheering for me, but then as soon as we didn't make it, you had to go and cheer for your next favorite person. I prefer to cheer for Who Am I? He is the only person that I ever recognized from Masters that actually played Expedition, and so he typically gets my my vote in terms of, well, we gotta cheer for somebody out here not familiar with all of these people, given that he actually played a game of Expedition in his time. It's a bravo, my dude. Guess the Mystic Shot at this point doesn't super matter. Well, I'll just switch to killing you with elusives, right? Is that the way we want to do it? We can hook down the Spiderling with our Flame Chompers if we want. Maybe that's a little bit safer. Just get the Dum-Dum off the board. Ooh, 3 chimes. Do y'all remember when Darkness was one of the best decks in the format? It's not. It's not anymore. Poor deck. Aw. Alright, now we can reveal my trap card. All on Vi. She's going to have that 10 attack now. Oh, you're 1 short? What a struggle. What a struggle. We can boost Vi with the Esmuth to get her to 10 attack if we really want to go for the flip, which seems reasonable. Okay. don't think his darkness was big enough. I should have stopped to see the size of the darkness. Oh, it's only 2. Yeah, that's not killing a Vi anytime soon. Curious why he would just drop Senna there. If it's just if he already has like 2 and 3 Sennas in his hand. The spiral techniques, bringing all kinds of stuff out here. It's not like playing against Kevin Costner and having to go through all the 90s movies on IMDb, but y'all ever eat the Kraft spirals? Love it so much. It's easily the best kind of mac and cheese there is. It's not that bullshit Velveeta stuff. That shit's just garbage. This is the real stuff in the Kraft spirals. Then my mom used to get so upset because the Kraft spirals are no good after you've like let them cool down and you try to eat them the next day. They get that kind of like white crust on them or something. I don't know what the fuck it is. And so you have to like eat them all on the current day. And then my mom would get so upset, she'd give me those leftover Kraft spirals, and then I'd tell her that they were flaky. I didn't want to eat that shit because that's what it was to me with those white chunks on it. I called it flaky, and she would always be upset. Said, "Bust, fuck you." my mother never said that. She would be upset if she heard me say that. She said that, but. All right, are we just gonna go for it here? I feel like, I mean, he could have a Vile Feast to heal out of the 7 burn. Okay, we can go for it now. Laser Beam. Rip him, Reg. GG. Go ahead and mark that one a W as well. 6-1. Get ourselves into that final battle. It's bound to be a doozy. All right, not bad. Not a bad collection of games. Hope we're doing that guy that did well with this in seasonals a bit of justice. The old Fizz Riven. Okay. I'm okay with hanging on to the Flame Chompers. We'd prefer to have it, come out of a Baboon, but depending on how quickly we can draw some of our discard stuff, it works out quite nicely, especially when we can pick on Fizz's early game plays. He doesn't... We got a really awkward draw here, though. I think this draw, though, kind of like really illustrates what I think about a lot of the kind of seasonals format as well. Like I was at the end of the day pretty happy with our lineup. We played 2 Papercraft Dragon decks along with the discard burn deck, and it's just like those decks are pretty capable of beating anything. And even if you roll into a bad matchup like whatever, that matchup can just pick up draws like this, right? You can run into Thralls, and they have these like really awkward draws that don't quite come together how they would want. And I think it's just really good and strong that you have the opportunities just to beat anything on the 6th turn, right? The 5th or the 6th turn with the Papercraft Dragon decks, your opponent, you just sometimes can just like throw it down, and your opponent is like, "Oops, I don't have anything." And I think that's kind of one of those like real raw power level things that I've always been pretty happy with in a lot of constructed formats outside of this. And it's like I can't imagine ever wanting to bring a deck like that Anivia thing we played against earlier, which does have like a lot of opportunities to just draw really weird and randomly lose to something. Like even if you're like an 80% favorite over Pirates, you have a pretty good chance of weird stuff happening. And I always do like to lean towards these kind of low-to-the-ground, high-powered decks. So I was happy with it in that sense. Like I felt like Fizz Ribbon was pretty good. Just we ran into some bad spots along the way.
No turning back now.
Gonna go for the flip. No? Okay. Well, we could strike at Riven on our turn with Vi. I wish we had just like a little bit more interactivity here, but that kind of is what it is with this draw.
Here comes the punchline.
She can survive this hit into Riven though, which is kind of nice.
Where would I go? I tried being polite. Trouble coming at ya.
I don't really want to interact. Well, maybe we do want to interact with this librarian. His combat tricks are all like plus attack, and so we should just get a trade here out of this. I think this is okay. And then our Vi survives unless he plays another card. I don't expect Vi to survive here, but he has to play a spell to get the protection out of this round. Friendship was pretty strong. Might get OTK'd this turn. 13 is pretty dangerous dangerous place to be in. Like the perk that I would say is that he can't he can't bring it all at, like on an open if he wants to play the big sword. Like he didn't spend his mana on the previous turn, so he's gonna have to like do stuff this turn. So it will give us an opportunity to at least play Bard. I don't think he's gonna have enough health here, but give us a shot. Definitely could have gone worse.
To serve the greater good.
All right. What do we got? We got any lethals in here? Not looking like it. Is he gonna try and kill our Vi? That would be kind of sweet of you. I would appreciate it if you would do something like that. We could get the full valued one on the board, but all right. Punch it. Yeah. Okay. So we gotta draw a burn spell to survive. Those are pretty good friendships. Alright, Reg, what you got for us? Gotta be something good. We gotta pull up a real choice spell off of this. Can't imagine that he's gonna give us a chance to
No turning back now.
to play spells this round, but yeah. Okay. GG. All right, so 6-2, not a bad set of games. I'm glad to see this deck have a bit of success. It was like we did see a lot of the kind of Bard P&Z flavors towards the end of the season, mainly more towards Jinx Bard, and they're trying to take advantage of the 6th cost guy that discards your hand and draws 3. But like I honestly haven't played that deck, and I don't know which. I wouldn't be able to say which one is better. But I was just kind of like nostalgic about this and seeing this be like literally the first deck I made out of the World Walker and being like, fuck, it doesn't work. and then seeing someone else cycle back to it towards the end and have it work out pretty successfully for them was pretty cool and well and good. But yeah, reasonably powerful deck. I think there's a lot of good things going for this. Bard decks in general, fairly strong. Boom Baboon decks, fairly strong. Any deck sporting Reggie, the old Pharaoh's Fancier, has lots of pretty good options. And then having this general combo of Get Excited plus Mystic Shot does a lot of work against a lot of decks. And so it's a lot of, kind of very powerful things all tied together into one deck. You have seen a lot of like pieces of this here, pieces of this there, but not all kind of like coalesced into a single deck. And this is pretty good, pretty strong, pretty functional. I think I give it a good recommendation as a nice end of season climber to masters, if that's what you're looking for. And so that will do it for us today. Hope everyone enjoyed the video. You learned how to level up your bards and your Vys a little bit better. Maybe learned a thing or two along the way and had a good time watching. This is Bust, and we thank you for being here.